Right. Okay. Injury-wise, the Hoyt and Byron Young and Quentin Lake will all be questionable. There'll be limited participants in practice today, and then Tyler Higbee will be doubtful for the game. So, if that's the case and he's not able to go, then those other guys will be ready to step up. He will be, yes. Puka will be good.
If you don't have Higbee, I mean, what does that? I know you want those other guys to step up, but does that change some things for you guys?
It changes the fact that you don't have, one of your leaders and captains out there and the production that he's brought, Gary, but it doesn't change much for us in terms of the things that we would do and the way that we would want to operate. I think it's been good to be able to see whether it's Bryson Hopkins, Davis Allen, Hunter Long, all of those guys have played meaningful snaps for us this year. Nick Caley does such a great job with that unit. And so they've had a really good week of practice. If Higbee is able to go, I know that there's nobody that's going to work harder over these next 48 hours to put himself in position to be ready. And if he can go, great. And if not, then he'll be leading on the sideline and controlling what he can control. So it doesn't change too much other than, missing a great player if we don't have him.
With any of those guys who are listed as questionable, is there a chance that if a pregame workout in the day of the game goes well, they could potentially be out?
Yeah, I think all of those guys. Quentin is the only one that we've really got to still be smart with the soft tissue. But with Hoyt and Byron Young, we don't expect, that's their game status. But unless there's a setback, I think those guys will be good to go.
You guys fly today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
What goes into your decision for an East Coast trip to fly?
When I first got here, Sarah, anytime that we were going a few time zones, and especially if it was a 10 a.m. kickoff in our head, we would always leave on Fridays. And then what we learned by mandate during the COVID season was keeping guys in their beds, trying to just keep a consistent rhythm and routine has served us well in that season. And then that's kind of, what we've followed since then. I always, value the players' feedback. That's as important. That's the most important thing to me. And when they say, like to be able to kind of go through my normal routine on a Friday, whether it's guys getting body work done, having another night in their bed, and then being able to get up and be ready to go, because it doesn't change your circadian rhythm or anything like that. You have to, be in certain places for a lot longer period of time. And so that was what ultimately led to it. And I'll always defer to, what the players feel is best. And if we feel like those two things align and it's performance driven, we're checking both boxes.
Alaric Jackson kind of has quietly seemed like had a very solid season.
Yeah.
Kind of how would you kind of evaluate?
Yeah, not necessarily quiet for us. He's done a great job, and I've been really pleased with the way he's played, especially since the bye in the last 3 games. I think there's been a focus, there's been a concentration, there's been a consistency, snap in and snap out. I thought he had arguably one of his best games that he's had last week against what we all know is a phenomenal player, a great defense. But, I think he deserves a ton of credit for the work that he's putting in and how he approaches every single day. And then, you look at how receptive he is, how coachable he is. He certainly has the ability, but I think it's, most importantly, the work that he's put in and the way that he is just continuing to push himself, and the consistency at which he's played at that left tackle position has been really important to us. And Ryan Wendell and Zach Cromer and Nick Jones and Mike Munchak, those guys have been great leaders and mentors for him, but I'm really proud of him, and we want to continue to play the way he's done.
Byron, available and playing well in a December, maybe a wet game. What does that do for you?
Well, I think having him in general, we're very different in a positive way when he's out there. I mean, if you just look at it, the energy, the production, the leadership that he provides, I think it enables, Royce to be in a great situation where they're good complements off of one another. But I don't think it's by mistake that we're at our best when he's a part of this offense and when he's playing. It's apparent. You can just look at all the games when he's been there and when he hasn't, and it's very different. And so I'm very grateful for him. I love the approach that he has every single day, and this guy is exactly what we want in Rams.
Akello, DeMarcus Robinson, John Johnson, this guy, some others, guys that you've signed to veteran minimum contracts have really been key players for you. Has that kind of worked out about as well as you could have anticipated?
I think so. Yeah, I think John McVay and then really our coaches and obviously Les, they've done a great job of being able to identify, and we knew a little bit about Akello when you just look at the situations that he was a part of in terms of whether he was in Pittsburgh or going against him in San Francisco, and him being out there and being available, we felt like he had a skill set, and I think he's done a great job. And, there was some recruitment in terms of getting him to come that Aubrey and Raheem did a great job with, and then I think he immediately asserted himself, and he's done phenomenal. But John McVay, deserves a ton of credit for that. DeMarcus Robinson, same thing. John, always stays abreast to the landscape of the league. He was a guy that, we knew offensively. We had respect for what he did. He did a great job. There's a lot of production that he had for the Ravens last year and really over the course of his career. To get him was big. And then the familiarity with JJ. He comes out for a practice. He liked the vibe that was very similar. And you can see, I thought what's been really cool about JJ's situation is that, he's gotten himself to where he's feeling good. He was in shape, but getting yourself into the shape that you're able to play at consistently. He earned the right to be able to get out on the field. He and Jordan have done a really good job manning those safety positions. I think Rush Yeast has thrived in, the safety, but also playing some other spots. But those three guys that you pointed out, ton of credit to, Les, his group, but John McVay, I give him a lot of credit. And then the coaches ultimately being able to say, yep, let's do that. Let's have some dialogue before. And then those guys come in and continue to be big parts of what we're trying to do right now.
And will you elevate Mason Crosby to the roster for this game?
You know what? We haven't decided that yet. More than likely, we probably will not go that direction, but we'll see. Okay? Go ahead.
At the league meetings in March, we talked about needing to be disciplined a little bit going into what Gary was just asking. Is it any more satisfying the fact that you were able to stay the course and what the plan was, and you're still seeing those results?
I think we got a long way to go. What's satisfying is watching the improvement that this group's made, the way that they're consistent. And I think in a lot of instances too, Sarah, it was before we've had some of the good things that have occurred over the last 3 weeks. There was a consistency. I think you guys could feel that. We know that it's a production-based business, and we want to be able to perform in those windows of time that we're allotted each week. But the way that these guys work day in and day out has what's been rewarding, and the growth. I think you've seen these guys get better, and we want to be able to continue to, go in that right direction. I think it's really important that we're playing good football towards the latter part of November, and then we want to be able to continue that on into December. And what a great challenge against an excellent football team this week. Okay? Thanks, guys.